It's good. Is it good? Is it good? Yup, we good. So all praise to the Most High, brothers and sisters. Hope everybody doing good once again. So we're gonna get straight into the class. We did the introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen once again for the visuals. Go to the YouTube link on top. We are officially live now, and we're gonna go ahead and start this presentation. So let's share the screen. All right, all right, perfect. Now we're sharing it. And yup, this is a topic today, brothers and sisters. The second pandemic is coming soon. Okay, we've been hearing this for a while now. We've been hearing this before the summer even started about how a second, I call it the plandemic, is going to come about because what's happening is that they're going to put more mandates on the people as this starts to evolve. Okay, as we go more into the winter, I remember Joe Biden said one time in one of his speeches, he said it's going to be a dark winter. Okay, he's referring to this winter. So at the end of the day, the signs are there in our faces. We just got to take it for what it is, digest it, and move forward accordingly, right? Also, mandatory jabs. That's another thing that they're going to try to enforce again. Now, we know a lot of things happen during COVID, when people was mandated to take the vax or the jab. Okay, so taking the jab was required. If not, you lost your job. Even if it had side effects, even if it was bad for you, you still had to take it and you were forced and mandated to take this jab, although it was also considered unsafe at the time because they came up with the jab, as fast as possible. The fastest jab that was ever created was for COVID. So that's another thing. They're going to try to now mandate jabs in the future as well. And of course, we're going into America versus the Bible part 3, where we go over what? We go over the laws of America and we also go over the laws of the Bible and see if they coincide, to see if America is a God-fearing nation, right? So let's go to the first slide. So the Most High warns us of the evils to come. Okay, we're going to read the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of this prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord." So our job is to speak to the people, right? We speak to the children of Israel. We speak about the prophecies, and we forewarn them about what's going to happen in the future. Why? Because once again, the Lord commands us to do so. Verse 2, "And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." So that's another thing. In these last days, we got to be strong, right? We got to be razor sharp. We got to be spiritually strong because a lot of famine, a lot of destruction is happening. And it's going to come a time where it's going to be a famine in your city. That's another thing, right? We've been going over certain things about cities being shut down or they're planning to be shut down in the future where people can't even travel as fluid as they can now. So what's happening is that they're slow, they're slowly bringing it in, but they're also, rapidly bringing it in at the same time. You gotta get what I mean. But the Lord said, "What? For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." So that's their judgment, right? Verse 5, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." So the Most High is warning us of the perils to come, the evils to come, and it's also letting us know what? That wickedness is exceeding in this world. So when wickedness is exceeding in this world, you're gonna have a remnant, right? A small number that's gonna be righteous, keeping the laws of the Most High, while the rest of the world is out doing them. So we have to stay strong. Why? Because we can also be tempted and then get caught up in these evils that the Most High is bringing to the world. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Where will there be another pandemic or another plandemic? Because brothers and sisters, if you don't know by now, all of this is planned. It's not a pandemic, right? That came up and we attacked it and try to get rid of it. Instead, this was actually a plandemic. Why? We got some videos, right, where we see we get it from the horse's mouth. They telling themselves, right? Let's watch this first video.
For the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when. You know, the risk per year, 2%, 3%. The next pandemic.
See that? So Bill Gates, off the back, he's letting us know there's going to be another pandemic. How does he know that? Did he speak to the new variants, so-called variants out there? Did he have a conversation with the actual virus and say, hey, listen, you might come back next year, just let me know? Right? So why would he be saying that? Because it's not really a pandemic, it's a plandemic. Let's keep playing the video.
And there will be one. There will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic.
We definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans, as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses.
But also there will be a surprise outbreak. Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
See that? So he calls the first one pandemic 1. I call it plandemic 1. Now he's calling on the second one, which I call again the plandemic part 2. It's all a game, brothers and sisters. All we got to do is pay attention. These devils telling themselves all the time. Now, our people's not, majority of our people's not going to be paying attention to this. Why? Because they're busy with entertainment, they're busy with the rappers, they're busy with the artists, so on and so forth. But these things in our faces, we're supposed to take heed because these are the signs the Most High has given us. So they're talking about a guaranteed pandemic, so-called pandemic part 2. Let's keep playing the video.
Which will come in our way.
See that? So he's saying, he's guaranteeing it's gonna come. So now it's up to us. How are we gonna prepare? The first pandemic passed, right? The first plandemic passed, and guess what? Our people went straight to sleep after that. Certain things they was able to do after a certain time, now they think they free again. They back in that mentality, right? So our people right now, when it hits them, it's gonna come as a surprise. But us, we're watching this, so we're not surprised at this. We know this is being planned out. Ultimately, we know this is the Most High's moving, right? He's moving the pieces on the chessboard. So all of this, brothers and sisters, is for us to take heed and actually listen to the Most High and prepare ourselves. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Let's see what Joe Biden has to say about the jabs. Okay, let's see his plans.
Other cases of new variants?
Yes, I can. Matter of fact, I've signed off this morning on a proposal we have to present to the Congress a request for additional funding for new vaccine that is necessary, that works. And tentatively, not decided finally, but tentatively, it is recommended that it would likely be recommended that everybody get, no matter what they got.
So he's going to recommend that everybody gets it. Eventually, it's going to turn to everybody has to get it. That's what eventually it's going to turn into. So Joe Crack Biden, who can't even complete a damn sentence, right? This damn Edomite, he's letting us know what? That eventually they're going to try to jab us all. Now, we still listen to those that didn't take the jab. At the end of the day, guess what? You're doing what you're supposed to do. You know what's going on. You ain't going to take the jab. You see the side effects. You see people dropping dead. You see people getting the worst side effects, which equals death, okay? Stay strong. They're going to come for you. They're going to come for us. The unjabbed, they're going to come for us. So we have to stay steady, strong in the spirit, brothers and sisters, okay? Don't fold and stay strong, because if we don't die from something, you're gonna die from the jab for sure. If you know they're mandating it now. So we're going to the next slide, but we see Joe Biden himself, okay? Joe Biden himself saying these things. Now, there was a couple of classes back where we spoke about the 15-minute cities, right, that will keep the population locked down. Let's see what this lady has to say.
15-minute cities, they will have to have those before they can lock you down. So in Great Britain, some county already passed legislation. They will be able to impose a climate lockdown. That's the next step. So in order to do that, they will have to have these 15-minute cities. The next step then, of course, will be you are only allowed to leave your immediate area for, let's say, 2 or 3 times a year. So, but there's other people that may have more money and they can actually buy your passings off of you.
See that? So a person can buy your passing. Let's say if it's your turn to travel, a person that has more money, you can buy that, and now you can't travel because it's been bought. Your pass has been bought. That's what's coming down, right, in America. That's what's going down. So the whole mission is to keep total control of the population. That's their whole mission. So we're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Let's keep playing the video.
So guess what? The poor people will be left in these 15-minute neighborhoods, while the ones that are better off get to go wherever they want to go. Look at Saudi Arabia, for instance. They're pulling up Neom City. They call it the Line. So this is like a structure in the middle of the desert, 200 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, 500 meters high, and it will house up to 9 million people. If I wanted to get total control of the people, that's exactly where and how I would house them. And then having
right, and then they're doing that over there in the so-called Middle East, and that's a lot of funding for that project. So what they're doing is they're progressing in containment. They're trying to contain the people, just like I brought out last week. They're building the wall not to keep so-called immigrants from coming, right, but to keep people from leaving when the economy collapses. That's the whole motive. Right, let's finish up this video and we go to the next slide.
On a 3 meals a day prescription, well, guess what will happen if you do not do as you are told? They will probably cancel that. It's so easy. It will be a complete impoverishment and enslavement of all the people.
Look at that. They're going as far as even canceling your meals. Right? They're canceling your meals if you're not cooperating with what they're doing. Now, instead of just 3 meals a day, you get none. So they're planning to shut down the people, even to what you eat. They're limiting what you eat, and they're letting you know in your faces, listen, this is what we're doing. And we can't really do nothing about it, right? Because first of all, it's the Most High's plan. Second of all, we don't have an army. We don't have a military to defend ourselves. So even if we wanted to rebel, guess what? We don't have weapons of mass destruction like they do. So at the end of the day, our only help is the Most High B'Shem Yahushua. That's the only help we're going to have in these last days. Because we can't do it on our own. Okay, so these are the things that they have planned for us. The 15-minute cities will keep the population locked down. And they can even have mandates to enforce on the people where, let's say, for example, you would have to take the jab. It's all according to their plan. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The Bible tells us about global shutdowns. Okay, everything we're seeing, everything we're hearing about, the Bible tells us about it. Okay, there's a book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and starting at verse 1. It says, woe to the world, or Slakia, starting at verse 14. All right, let me fix that real quick. Verses 14 through 19. Okay, and it says, woe to the world, meaning destruction, of course, and them that dwell therein. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. So the destruction draws nigh. This is part of the destruction that we're seeing. As we see the US dollar collapse more and more, okay, that's also part of the destruction. Why? Because an economy cannot thrive if it's not, in good standards economically. A community cannot thrive if there's nothing, no resources coming in and being used in our everyday life. So the Lord said what? Reading on, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So there's going to come a time, brothers and sisters, where people's going to be invading one another. They're going to be stealing from one another. They're going to be fighting and killing each other for a loaf of bread because they're starving. And they're not going to regard the kings and princes. They're going to say, "Oh, Donald Trump is in office, so we should stop." They're not going to say, "Oh, the police is coming." They don't care. They're starving. Okay, so that's the time we're approaching. Reading on, it says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." That's what we just seen with the 15-minute cities. When that time comes, we're not going to be able to leave the cities. This is all prophecy. So if the Bible's letting us know what's going on, and it told us aforetime, and we're seeing it unfolding, our faith should be much more stronger, knowing that these words that the Most High spoke is coming to pass. Okay, so reading on. "For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So the Most High causes great tribulation. There's going to be houses invaded, houses destroyed. They're not going to regard your children or none of that. They're going to say, "Listen, we're here to get what we want." And it's either you're going to fight to the death for it or you're just going to give it up. There's really no in between at that point. Which is why it's important why brothers and sisters, predominantly brothers, right, being the protectors and the shield of the family, getting physically fit and being good health-wise is important. Because if you have to defend your family, guess what? It's going to have to go down. And you're going to have to do what you got to do. So if we're not in great shape and great health, we can't really protect our family. We can't really protect ourselves. I know dudes, they throw 2 punches and they out of breath. 10 seconds, 2 punches, out of breath. What you gonna tell dude? "Hey, listen, give me a break. Let me rest real quick," right? So at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, it's all about getting getting ourselves right spiritually and physically. Reading on. Matter of fact, that was the "because of the lack of bread and great tribulation." That was the end of that scripture. Let's go to the next slide. So now, preparing for the next pandemic. How do we prepare? What are some of the things we can do to actually, have a smoother ride into a dark winter? Because preparation is key to everything. If you're gonna cook something, you prepare the meal, right? You're preparing the meal, you're seasoning it. I hope so, right? I hope you're seasoning your food, right? But you're seasoning your food, you're marinating it, you're cooking other stuff, and you're in preparation. That's the same thing we have to do. Now let's look at the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 4. "Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler." Watch this. "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no God, overseer, or ruler, provideth for meat in the summer and gathereth for food in the harvest." And we're going to see how the ants do it. Because, my bad, that's one of the things that the ants do. They gather their food. They make sure they're good going into the winter, in and out of season. All right. And they provide their meat in the summer. So that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be gathering food. Right now, we call that what? Pantry. Right? The Bible calls it storehouses. So creating a pantry, brothers and sisters, that's important. Because now we have to be in survival mode. Okay, we got to look at the ants and consider her ways. Reading on. "How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man." See that? So slumber causes us to fall into poverty. Slumber causes us to not want to do nothing for ourselves, causes us to be lazy. And then when we become lazy and we in want of the daily everyday things we need to survive, we're like an armed man now. We're looking for everything we need. But that's not how you plan. We're supposed to prepare ourselves just like the ants do. Now let's look at the video. Okay, study the ants. Let's see how the ants actually gather their food, how they work together, and why the Most High told us to consider her ways. Let's play this video real quick.
Wow. Did you ever think that what might be seemingly insignificant leftover food scraps that we humans unknowingly leave behind after a quick bite on the go could actually be a massive, bountiful feast to other creatures like ants? This week, I was able to watch the most amazing process of how a wild ant colony brings home a bunch of breadcrumbs left laying around in my yard. And the ants I watched weren't just any wild ant colony. These were marauder ants, undisputedly some of the coolest ants on the planet, with their huge-sized specialized majors and super majors all working together. Watching
Now that's one of the reasons why when you look at, let's say if you're in a park or something and you see like a breadcrumb or some food on the floor and you see a lot of ants on that food, it's because they're gathering their food. Right? They're going back and forth, they're eating and they're also gathering their food. So they're working together. That's why you see so many of them. You'd be like, there's a whole, it's like 1,000 of them, right? 1,000 little ants. But what we don't know is that they're working together to, gather their food. And that's how they survive. Okay, let's keep playing the video.
These ants launch a mass operation of survival to bring home huge boulder-sized breadcrumbs back to their nest was nothing short of a spectacle that you guys will truly love. Now, I've shot many ants in the past on this channel, but this has to be one of my favorite and most satisfying videos I've ever shot, featuring wild ants just doing their thing as nature intended. AC family, it's time to shrink down to ant size and marvel at the amazing process of how ants bring home the bacon. I mean, breadcrumbs.
See that?
Here.
You see how they're moving? They're moving back and forth. They go drop off the food. They come back, another piece, drop off the food, so on and so forth. That's how they do it. That's how we're supposed to be doing now. Or always. We're always supposed to be storing food and making sure that we're good because you just never know. You might fall on hard times, right? You might lose your job and now you don't have an income. You don't have a resources to get food or to have, put anything on the table for your kids. So if you have a pantry, if you have a storehouse where you're stacking up food in case of an emergency, guess what? You're considering the ways of the ants and you'll be better off because you're preparing. Okay, again, it's the next pandemic that's coming. We can't even avoid that. I can't even stress that enough. We can't avoid that. It's coming, so it's better to see it now and once again ease into it at least a little more smoother. So let's continue this video and we'll go to the next slide.
On the Ants Canada Ant Channel.
Right, let's go to the next one. So build up your pantries. In the scriptures again, it says storehouses. That's what they call them, at home. So this is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13, verse 13. In charge of the storehouses, I appointed Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites, and in addition to them was Hanan the son of Sakor, the son of Mattaniah, for they were considered reliable, and it was their task to distribute to their kinsmen. So these brothers were appointed in charge of storehouses, and their job was to distribute that to their kinsmen. That's what we're supposed to be doing, brothers and sisters. We're supposed to be having storehouses, aka pantries, because it's our job to distribute that to the kids, to the children, to your family. Maybe your grandmother might run out of food, your grandfather, so on and so forth. Maybe you can help somebody else that's close to you because you're prepared. So our task, again, is to be able to distribute that to our kinsmen, just as we read in the book of Nehemiah. So let's go to the next slide. First Chronicles chapter 28, verse 11. Then David gave to his son Solomon the plan of the porch of the temple, its buildings, It's storehouses. See that? David has storehouses that he passed on to Solomon. So this was always in our culture. This was always in our people to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Reading on. It's upper rooms, it's inner rooms, and the room for the mercy seat. So again, we see that David, Solomon, we see Nehemiah, in the book of Nehemiah, we see storehouses. So we have to consider that and say, you know what? If the prophets did it and they felt it was necessary, how come we don't feel that way? How come we just think, you know what? I could just go to Walmart and Target whenever. I could go to ShopRite wherever. Okay, and it's good now because guess what? All praises to the Most High, we're able to do that. But once again, you still want to be prepared. Just like when health, right? When it comes to health, prevention is better than cure. So preparation is better than not being prepared. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now, a lot of us remember Joseph being in charge of the food supplies and the resources, under Pharaoh back in Egypt. And we've seen that it was his wisdom of agriculture and of survival that not only was the people able to survive off of what he performed, but at the same time, guess what? He was able to provide an outlet, right? An outlet for the people to follow to do what? To be able to store food and not run out. Because the land of Egypt, guess what? It was in famine at one point after that. But they had enough food where even the other nations around came to Egypt to buy food from Joseph. Right? So Genesis chapter 6, verse 21. As for you, take for yourself some of all the food which is edible, and gather it to yourself, and it shall be for food for you and for them. So when you read the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, right, you see the story. So the whole point of this verse right here is doing what? Is letting us know that wisdom tells us that we have to gather our food, and it shall be food for us and our families, right? Genesis 41:35, saying the same thing. It says, then let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain for food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and let them guard it. So we see it again. They're gathering food, just like we seen with the ants, right? They're gathering food and they're storing it in their houses. They're storing it, you know what I'm saying, where they have access to it, and the people can actually get to it as well. Because that's what it's for. So we're seeing, brothers and sisters, that our pantries is important. That's really important. Might not seem that important now, but trust me when I tell you, it's going to be important later, and you're going to see that. So the next slide says what? You can store for yourself and for your family. Or actually foods you can store for yourself and your family. So let's go over some lists, right? A list of things. Maybe some people don't know what to store, what to buy. Okay, so you got honey, you got apple cider vinegar, you got bullet cubes, alcohol, salt, instant coffee. Okay, so as long as it's not unclean according to the scripture, right? We're gonna have to survive. So these are just some of the things. Let's go to the next slide. You got raw cocoa powder, maple syrup, powdered milk, dried lentils, hardtack sugar, dried beans, right? So on and so forth. You got pasta, rolled oats, and herbal tea as well. Herbal teas, you can store them, and that's actually good for your health, right? Herbal tea is known to restore your health. So having those on deck is very important as well. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so we're gonna go to this website here, and we're gonna see some more foods that our people are familiar with that you can store at home, just in times of in case we end up in times of need. Um, let's see, is it this one? No, it's not this one. Let's go to the website. Let me see. So Uh, where is that? Where is that? I just had it. Give me 1 second. Let me find this. Because it's a good list, right? It's a good list to have. Uh, while you're taking your notes, it's a good thing to know, and you can pass the information on, right? You pass the information on to the people, and you let them know, and you warn them, and they'll probably have the same questions. What can we have that are last long, right? So let's go to this one. This one. Let's see. Right. So let's go over some of the stuff really quick. So you got flour, right? Flour you can store, and you're able to make a lot of things with flour, right? You got spelt. You got hard white wheat, right? You got let's see. You got yeast. You got fat sources like, let's say, cashews, almonds, peanut butter, right? You got, of course, salt, dried beans, peas, rice, right? Pasta, even the protein, right? You can actually seal, right? Seal case some meat and put it in a deep freezer. That'll last you a long time as well, right? Another thing you may want is a generator in case the lights go out. If the lights go out, guess what? That means that your refrigerator ain't working either. So all your food is going to go to waste. So if you can invest in a generator, that'll be a good thing, because at least you're able to preserve food longer that way, right? So you get a deep freezer, right? You got cocoa powder, right? Chocolate, right? You got honey, same thing. We went over a little earlier. Herbs, right? Garlic, onion. So you got a variety of things. You look it up, and you can see that you can get a whole list of foods that you can store just by simply Googling some of these things. And when you Google, you'll find more options than what you actually thought. You know what I mean? Because you find a list of things. Some things you never know, or we know, I've seen certain things I never knew lasted that long. But guess what? Due to research, I'm able to, put that in my arsenal and do what I do. Right. So you got fruit. You can store fruit, depending on how you store it. So yeah, man, these are certain things we can actually have in our houses. It's easy to get when you go to the supermarket. Just kind of throw it in there, right? Get some canned foods, right? It's not a matter of it tasting good. It's a matter of us surviving, right? So these are just some of the foods that you can get in order to create a pantry and be good for you and your family, right? So let's go to the next slide. So one of the things I wanted to bring out, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, a week ago, we spoke about the US dollar in danger of collapsing, right? Now, I brought out what the agenda for the BRICS nation is. And starting in 2024, you go back to the last class and watch that in depth. You can see I go into that. So, one of the things I want to bring out is this part right here, okay? Because this is what is going to happen in the near future. As the dollar collapses, guess what? Inflation gets higher. So, the products that the US is buying from other countries and other nations and bringing it here for the people to have available, those prices are going to go up. Why? Because now the currency of the BRICS nation is going to be much stronger than the dollar. And let's read that, right? Let's get that for a little. Let's go into that for a little bit. So in this article, you read, what if BRICS currency is valued at $1 to $55? Meaning what? $1 from the BRICS nation equals $55 in the US dollar. So you would have to have $55 to equal $1, right? In other words. So can you imagine the things that cost $1? Right? You go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General, whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, you need $55 to buy that $1 item. And you ain't getting no raise from your job. You ain't getting no pension. You ain't getting no, good luck money, none of that. Right? That's what we're approaching. So let's read this a little bit. The idea of a brick oil trading currency, excuse me, the idea of a brick oil trading currency challenged the status quo dominated by the US dollar as the primary currency for oil transactions. Currently, oil is primarily traded in US dollars, a practice that has been in place for decades. This arrangement has provided the United States with a significant advantage due to its own control over the global reserve currency. It has also granted the U.S. considerable influence over the global energy market and international financial systems. So right now, the dollar is recognized globally. It's fallen, yeah, but it's still recognized as a currency, right? To a certain point. So although we're not seeing the inflation now, the inflation will happen as time goes on. That's all it is. It's a timing game now. If you want to go back to the video, like I said, I break down what's going to happen in 2024 with the BRICS nation coming together and really coming together to ditch the US dollar and going against them, America. So all of our oil as well is traded in US dollars. So what happens if now you need gas for your car, but the oil is $55 to 1? Can you imagine how much your gas is going to be? You're going to have to spend $500, $600, $700 just to get a quarter of gas in your tank. Our people, listen, we complained when it was $4, $5. Imagine if it was $25, $30 a gallon. Okay, so that's what we have to consider. That's why financial literacy is important as well. The Bible teaches us economics. The Bible teaches us financial literacy on top of storehouses, pantries, and storing up food. Why? Because in these last days, we're going to need it. If you don't have a skill, you don't have financial literacy, it's going to be hard to get by because people are losing jobs all the time. These jobs are being also replaced by AI robots. You can see that in my last class, and guess what? That's not a good look neither. So what's left in for our people? What's in it for our people? Let's read on. So cost of imports and inflation. The suggested valuation of 1 unit of the BRICS currency at $55 in US currency might have a substantial impact on the cost of imports for the United States. Throughout history, the strength of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency has offered an edge in international trade for the United States. This advantage allowed the United States to get more foreign money in exchange for each US dollar that was spent. Okay, so this is what we're reading. We're reading the plans of what's going to happen in the near future. The dynamic, however, would change if the valuation that was offered was used. The cost of importing goods from BRICS trading bloc would skyrocket if the bloc's currency, the BRICS dollar, was used instead of the US dollar. So BRICS is creating their own currency. They're creating their own currency that's going to allow them to exchange goods within each other and leave out the United States dollar. That's done away with now. That's done. Okay? So that's what's happening. So at the end of the day, the Most High told us what? These are the perils and evils to come. We read that in the book of 2nd Ezra. Okay, reading on. This would cause a spike in the cost of imported goods, which would add to the inflationary pressures already present in the economy of the United States. Okay, and you can read the article, right? As you go down, you go on, right? So that's the main thing I wanted to get. How the US dollar collapsing not only affects us, but we're not going to be paid enough to even amount $55 to 1 brick dollar. That's going to be crazy. So Christ says, Yahushua says what? These are the beginning of sorrows. The beginning of sorrows is everything that we're seeing now and everything that's ready to come. Okay, so just wanted to bring that out. because I found that very interesting, and that's important, right? Let's go to the next slide. So now we getting a little bit into America versus the Bible. All right. So one of the things that we are not to do is participate in magic, divination, or witchcraft. That's prohibited by the Most High God. He don't want us doing voodoo. He don't want us doing, Santeria. He don't want us doing any, any of those things. There's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 26. It says, "Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment nor observe times." Okay, that's what we're not supposed to do. Now in America, you're allowed to do that. In America, you could put curses on people. You can play with spirits. You can pray to Satan. You can do black magic, blue magic, yellow magic, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? You can do all that here in America. However, the Bible tells us not to do it. So if anybody's religious, if you're in a religion, if you worship at a church, you should start questioning why are these things not spoken about? Why are they so together with America and not going against what it represents? If you truly follow the Bible and you really go into religion or church with a pure heart, you would have to call out everything that America does. Why? Because you're supposed to defend the gospel. You're supposed to speak in the ears of your people the words of the prophecy. You're supposed to warn your people, and at the same time, Jeremiah 28:8 says what? That the prophet spoke against many kingdoms and against many nations. So if the churches were sincere, they would be speaking against America. They would be speaking against this nation, which people consider it so great. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So you see in the screen, we got pictures of some of the examples of going into witchcraft or magic or divination. This is accepted here in America. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it's even praised here in America. You got people that got their own cult, you know what I'm saying? They worship Satan. They literally, pray to the devil, right? That's guess praying to themselves, right? Because they are the devil. But that's what they believe in. So at the end of the day, this being permitted here in America, it shows us also that we have to be 10 times stronger in teaching our younger generation, because they're influenced by these things. There's no penalty here in America for these things. They say do as you want, right? Do as you will. And so there's no penalties, there's no consequences. We just gonna keep doing what we do. So the Most High got a problem with that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now I just Googled, psychic readings or black magic. And these are some of the results that I got. Right? You got a store called Psychic Readings. You got 2 stores called Psychic Readings. You got Spiritual Psychic Readings by Cynthia, Psychic of Orange, CT Psychic, right? This is my area. These are all the stores that deal with witchcraft and divination and all this stuff. And psychic readings. They're reading your palm, they're reading everything, right? They can read everything except, your future in terms of what date you're going to pass away. They can do everything besides heal people. That's all BS, right? You got Psychic Crystal West Haven, Psychic Readings by Tiffany. Right? Let's go to the next slide. Exodus chapter 22, verse 18 says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So anybody that's participating in these kind of acts, the Lord said they're not supposed to live. The judgment is death on that. Now, is America enforcing that law? No. Are they even saying that it's wrong? No. One of the mentalities our people adopted is, as long as not me and my family, I'm good. That's a selfish way to think, because the influence is still out there for other generations to come. The influence and actions is still out there for our people to copy from a young age. So if it's just about you and your family, guess what? Then that's a selfish mentality. But us as a nation, we care for our people. So we have to bring these things out. We have to make it aware, because that's our job, especially as servants of the Most High. That's our job. That's what the Most High commanded us and tasked us with. So again, Exodus 22:18 says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Let's go to the next slide. Now let's see this video real quick to see, are they promoting the Most High's laws or are they promoting witchcraft? Let's see.
Okay, so this is something I think you're going to find interesting. A family of Romanian witches taking their love spells to the next level, now selling their spells online. Okay, so Romania, known for having a busy market for witchcraft, apparently. The internet, though, is helping meet the demand for spells and charms. We're talking about the Minka family. Okay, they say a live stream spell is just as effective as one in person. So
see that, and guess what? That takes place here in America as well. Now, brothers, y'all, you know, I don't know if they put a spell on you, you know what I mean? But hey, if your rib is done with that, you going off, Hawk. You wonder why you're going crazy? They probably putting spells on you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but this is the kind of stuff that happens. You got even women putting spells on men, right? Dealing with witchcraft. There's no penalty here there's no penalty for that here in America. You know, you can put a spell on anybody. You can try to curse people and you know, pray for the worst and all that. Guess what? That's all accepted here in America. So we got witches here setting love spells online. Right, now let me catch one of y'all sisters online buying these love spells, man. You know what I'm saying? You going off, sis. You know what I'm saying? You got witches over here sending love spells online. And sometimes we wonder why people go crazy, right? Let's continue the video.
they're doing it. Witchcraft is seen as a folk custom in the Eastern European country with an estimated 4,000 witches living there. I'm sure not all of them live streaming, though.
See that? So over 4,000 witches living there. These are just a couple you see on the screen. So these are the acts the Most High told us not to deal with. And when you look at our history, the children of Israel, we always tap into these kind of sorceries and sacrificing our children and worshiping the sun, all these type of stuff. That's why the Most High said we shall go into captivity, what? As long as we keep breaking the commandments. And what did we do? We broke the commandments, and now we was in captivity over and over again. So this stuff is tolerated. And that's why the Most High is moving fast, because the Lord said what? The sins of Babylon has reached unto heaven. So that's a long list of sins that they got to pay for. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
Another thing, health is crucially important according to the Bible. I don't care what you do, what you plan to do. I don't care what dreams and goals you have. If you don't have any health, you can't do any of it. That's a fact. If you don't have health, you can't work. If you don't have health, you can't run with your children and play with them and all that, right? If you don't have health, you'll probably be in a coma or in bed all day, not feeling well. So according to the Bible, the Most High instructs us that health is one of the most important things to keep ourselves focused, moving, and doing the will of the Most High. You can't go to camp, right, if you're not healthy. If you're in bad health, you can't go to camp. You can't, you can't do what you have to do or what you want to do at all. So the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30, verses 14 through 17 tells us this. It says, better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. You couldn't enjoy $1 million if you're in the hospital 24/7. You got some people that they have to go to the dialysis center 7 days a week. If not, their kidneys shut down, right? That's because they keep living an unhealthy lifestyle, so they're going to have to depend on that machine. However, the Most High gave us herbs to do what? To heal. The Most High gave us fruits and vegetables to do what? To heal. To be medicine for our bodies. Now, is that promoted here in America? No. Is health and healthy living promoted here in the United States? No. And we all know that. You go to, I think they're selling right now with dollar burgers at Wendy's. Yeah, they selling dollar burgers at Wendy's. You can imagine what that's made out of, right? And don't trust those burgers, brothers and sisters. I understand the price is crazy. You're like, damn, that's $1, man. I could get 10 burgers for $10. Don't even fall for it, bro. Go to the health store and get some supplements and get something healthier. Listen, leave them Wendy's burger alone. Can you imagine what? Listen, man, he probably took some dung from the toilet, but the customers use it, boiled it up, gave it some spice, and cooked it up, and called it a burger. But it's really a dung burger. You don't know. You never know that, man. Listen, these restaurants are that nasty. Have y'all seen again? Have y'all seen how people in India handle their food? Like hygiene is illegal over there. To be clean is almost damn near illegal, right? So this is important. Let's read on. It says, health and good estate of body are above all gold. I hear a lot of people too, always, right? They, oh man, I want to raise at the job. I'm trying to get more money. I'm trying to raise my money. I'm trying to raise my funds, right? They're all about just trying to get their funds up, but they're not healthy, right? They're not, their body is afflicted. So at the end of the day, if we're going harder for money than we are for our health, that's a problem. And if you notice, most of our people pass away from what? Bad health. As sad as it is, brothers and sisters, that's the harsh reality. Our brothers and sisters, most of them, listen, people, my family members. I know family members, most of them, not all, die from health situations. So we have to make sure that we take heed to the commandments of the Most High and to His advice, saying what? That health is above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. See that? So the Most High says you could be rich as you want, but if you don't have no health, it's worthless. Verse 16, there is no riches above a sound body and no joy above the joy of the heart. And that's true, because when you working out, you're in shape, you're in health, you healthy, you have a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating habits as well. Guess what? You start to feel good. Your body starts to compliment you. You start looking good. You're feeling good. You got more energy. You're not always tired. You're not always sluggish. So it keeps you moving. So being healthy is what the Most High said is crucially important. Reading on, it says, death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. And that's one of the biggest things that we have to get in our heads, right? That death is, because sometimes, listen, you got people that, they're in the hospital and they're so much in pain. They're like, yo, just put me to sleep, or just take me away from my misery, right? And we don't know what they're feeling, but because they're the ones going through it. So we have to try to understand that, okay, if a person is dying from bad health, more than likely they're going to want to not live anymore because of that. So the Most High gives us a way out. What do we got to do? Clean up our lifestyle. That's it. Reading on, a cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet. So taking care of your meat and diet, what you put in your mouth, knowing that everything you put in your mouth can either be bad for your body or good for your body. That's important to know. You got a lot of our people, right? And I'm saying our people because that's the only thing we focused on. Our people, children of Israel, Israelites, right? So our people, we have a habit of going to restaurants not knowing what ingredients is being put on the food, and we just say, oh, it tastes good. And we just continue munching on. No questions asked, right? So that's not good. Right? At the end of the day, we got to make sure we equip ourselves with the knowledge and wisdom to know how to move forward in a healthy manner. Right? So that's important, brothers and sisters. Let's go to the next slide. So 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. Now, how does God destroy us? With sicknesses. That's how he destroys us. If a man defile the body, which is, unhealthy living, the Lord said what? He shall destroy him. But, when we read the word destroy, a lot of us think automatically nuclear destruction or gunshots. So no, it's talking about health. It's talking about your body shall be destroyed with illnesses that has been created through bad healthy habits or unhealthy habits. Okay, reading on. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So it's so important to the Most High that our health is right, that He says He will destroy us if we don't eat right with sicknesses. We read that in the book of Deuteronomy 28th chapter, right? Part a lot of the prophecies and the curses was sicknesses. And it's not a coincidence that, again, we are the leading rate in our community of sicknesses and deaths, or rather, deaths as a result of sicknesses. We're leading cause of that. So making changes here and there, okay, you start off slow, you work your way up, and you progress, right? And you do the best you can. Eventually, you start making it a good habit, right? You only do certain things to make it a habit, to make it good for you, right? So if you're doing certain things, for example, if I'm saying, you know what, I'm gonna start cleaning up my diet, my food. I'm not gonna eat no more fried chicken. I'm not gonna eat no more bread, pasta. And if I do, it'll be once in a while, months from now, because I gotta get to where I want to get. Then guess what? I gotta make that a habit now, and that's a good habit. So you got bad habits, you got good habits. We gotta learn the good habits and unlearn the bad ones. Simple, right? So let's go to the next slide. So as you see on the screen, we got a whole bunch of fast food restaurants that a lot of us is familiar with. Most of us familiar with, right? Burger King, Subway, White Castle, right? You got Dairy Queen, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Wendy's. We just spoke about the Wendy's dollar burgers. Stay away from that. Pizza Hut, Domino's, right? Jack in the Box, In and Out, Papa John's, KFC. Like this is, now all of this is being promoted and sold here in America. A lot of these foods are actually banned in other countries. Why? Because these are not natural foods. These are genetically modified. These are, dogs, cats. These are, roadkill that they pass off as chicken, so on and so forth. So these are all the things that's being promoted in our faces. Hey, listen, you're hungry? Go to White Castle. Go to Dairy Queen, right? For the kids, what do they have for the kids? You see on the left, they got all the candy, right? Cookie dough, Crunch, Butterfinger, Raisinets, right? Sixlets, Skittles. And you look at the ingredients and you see a whole bunch of red 40, red this, color that. That's all chemicals. And all that causes cancer, right? All the greasy food that causes heart situations, heart complications. You see at the bottom where they got stacks of cigarettes for sale. Just straight boxes. The Most High say we're not supposed to indulge in that, right? So at the end of the day, we're gonna ask ourselves, for those that may be new to the Bible or may be new to what the Israelites teach, guess what? Is America for me or against me? That's one of the main questions you should ask yourself. And analyze everything that we're going over today, because this is part of the destruction of our people that's dealing with bad health, right? So let's go to the next slide. Let's go to this article real quick. Right, 30 American foods that are banned in other countries. Let's take a look at some of them. Because some of those foods, we give it to our kids, our children, our family. A lot of us have barbecues and get-togethers, and it's there too, right? So our job is to kind of limit these things and have a balance. Got to have a balance, right? So Mountain Dew, okay, is banned in other countries. All right, you got Mountain Dew, you got milk is banned in other countries, right? Cow milk is no good. That's considered dairy. We ain't supposed to be drinking no cow's milk, right? You got natural milk. You can make cashew milk. You can make almond milk. You can make all types of milks, and not have to touch the cow milk. It's bad for us, right? The boxed mac and cheese. A lot of us give this to our children because it's fast, easy to make, and you ain't got to sit there and cook, and you got to go to work and this and that. Well, guess what? You're giving them a box of poison, right? So we got boxed mac and cheese, pre-packaged ground beef. A lot of studies show that these packaged ground beefs are contaminated. They put it under the microscope. You see, bugs and all that in there, worms, parasites. So we got to be careful with prepackaged ground beef. Yes, beef is lawful, but the way they make it is what messes it up. So going down, coffee mate. Coffee mate is also known to cause cancer, right? So coffee mate is another thing that's banned in other countries, right? Now GMO, papaya, corn, and soy, not the actual organic fruit papaya, but GMO version. That's banned in other countries, right? All the pesticide and the injections and chemicals they inject in there, that's banned in other countries. But it's given to us. It's promoted to us. They even give you a commercial with it. They make it look good. Like they put a pretty woman up there with a nice body. Hey, you want some of the, White Castle, whatever, and then people are like, damn, that sounds good, right? That's advertising. American chicken is banned in other countries because they inject so much hormones and other stuff in the chicken. It's considered unsafe and hazardous to the health. Okay, so that's why, even me, and I speak, because I know when you consume less, when you moderate the consummation of chicken and meat, beef and all this and all that, your body starts to, feel better. Why? Because it's not constantly breaking down chemicals that's injected in these chickens. Now, the Bible does say that we shall eat our bread defiled. That's true. However, it's not going to hurt us to do a little research and kind of find what's the best option out of the worst. Okay, so if you can add less chemicals or eat less chemicals to your body, then that's better. That's a good, that's a good start. That's a good, heads up, because now you're aware of what you put in your body. So chicken, American chicken, let's say that. Pork, of course, we don't even eat pork, but we know they sell pork here in America. Part of the dietary laws which we went over last week was what? The swine. We're not supposed to eat the swine nor touch the swine. It's unclean to us. So pork is banned in other countries. Bread, all the preservatives and chemicals in bread to make it to have it stay fresh, right? That's banned in other countries. Frozen dinners, a lot of frozen dinners, like even you had a recent article that said that frozen strawberries are the most contaminated fruit when they investigated it and put it under a microscope and seen the parasites that was in there. So just because it may be a vegetable or fruit, you still gotta wash it. You still gotta wash your veggies. You still gotta wash your chicken. You still gotta wash your fruits. Preferably in baking soda and apple cider vinegar. That's how you clean it. You let it sit there for about 15 or 20 minutes, and it'll clean everything. If it has parasites, it'll take out the parasites too, right? That's a little, side note y'all could take home. So frozen dinners banned in other countries. Sugar cane, right? Now, sugar cane, yes, people, it's natural, but it's not consumed in moderation nowadays. And I could speak because I used to be a sugar dude all the time. I used to love cookies, love all these cakes and all that. And eventually I had to say, you know what? I can't be doing this no more. Why? Because it's bad to our health. It's bad. So sugar cane, right, is banned in other countries. Fat-free snacks, banned in other countries. Yeah, your protein bars, all that. It says fat-free, but you can imagine how much chemical they put in that, right? So fat-free snacks, chewing gum, that's another thing. Chewing gum, my people chew gum, right? So chewing gum is banned in other countries because of its hazardous ingredients. Salmon. Now here's the thing. Wild caught salmon is better to eat than farm raised salmon. Farm raised salmon, they got them in a in a pool that's contaminated, dirty, so it's soaking up all that all that pollution. And when you eat it, you cook it. That's what you're eating, unfortunately. So out of the ocean is more fresh. That's why they call it wild salmon. It's wild caught. So preferably, if you want to eat fish, make it wild salmon. not farm-raised salmon, okay? You can read that here too in the article. Salmon that have been raised, farm-raised, are fed chemicals to make them the bright pinkish red that we love so much. They're also given a ton of antibiotics and other drugs that aren't safe for humans. Finally, they're fed synthetic astaxanthin, I said that right, to make their flesh look more appealing, which can cause eyesight damage in humans. Farm-raised salmon is banned in Austria and New Zealand. So we see that it's no good. Farm-raised wild farm-raised salmon, no good. Fruit Loops, I mean that's a no-brainer. You see all the coloring in that, that damn bowl there. A lot of times, guess what? Parents give it to their children because it's fast and easy, but it's doing harm to our children. And guess what? We wonder why our situations, when it comes to dealing with medical and our children, a lot of times they end up sick. They end up with allergies. They end up with a cough. They end up needing to go to the hospital. Why? Because of all the garbage that is being fed to them. So Fruit Loops is banned, okay, in other countries. Artificial blueberry, M&Ms. I know some of y'all like, damn, man, I can't have nothing. I can't have my M&Ms. At your risk, man. You know what I'm saying? Right? Maraschino cherries, rice, right? White rice is known as a starch, is known as a sugar because it's a carbohydrate that converts into sugar. So, it's banned in other countries. Well, American rice is contaminated. Let's just start with that too, because they bleach it, right? They bleach it they bleach it and make it white. They do all this type of stuff to it. So it's banned in other countries for that, right? GMO apples, so on and so forth. Chocolate milk, right? Ketchup, all this stuff, man. So y'all go ahead and take a look at this list, right? Just search up 30 foods, banned in other countries that is sold here in America, and you'll find it. High fructose syrup, palm oil, diabetic baked goods, all this stuff. Look at this. Processed meats, turkey bacon. That's another thing, brothers and sisters. I know y'all love that turkey bacon. It's turkey, brother. It's turkey. I mean, it's not real turkey. We know that. But people want to, it's turkey, brother. It's turkey. It says turkey. That's another processed food. That's another chemically made food. And it's known to cause heart conditions, right? And high blood pressure. So processed meats, yes, like turkey bacon, no good. No good. Okay. Trans fat, like of course McDonald's and chicken nuggets and all that. I understand the price is right. Damn, that nice piece look nice for $3. I understand. Trust me. Just like the Chinese store. The only reason why our people's attracted to the Chinese store is they get pork-fried rice with chicken wing for $3. Right? $3. No $3. No $4, $3. Right? And our people are like, man, that's a big play for $3. Right? And they go for it. But it's not good for us. Unfortunately. Let's go down. You know what I'm saying? All right. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's banned in other countries as well. Right? Root beer, bread, Hershey's, mac and cheese, Cheetos, sweet potato casserole. Right? All this, all that, man. Potato chips, all that. A lot of stuff is banned in other countries. And it's a no-brainer, brothers and sisters. These things are bad for us. That's why it's so cheap as well, right? So just wanted to go over some of the foods that are banned in other countries and might be in your cabinet, in your fridge, ready to be cooked later and consumed, right? So this is, put that information out there. So let's go to the next one. So products and herbs that are not approved by the FDA cannot be classified as a cure, treatment, etc. of any kind. And why is that? Because that would mean that the pharmacies would lose money. That would mean that the pharmacies, can't sell their drugs no more if the herbs are curing the people. So what they'll do is they'll threaten businesses and they'll say things like, you can't do it. This is a warning. If we do it again, we're going to take your business down, shut it down, or we're going to charge you a fine. That's the only two options. That's why anytime you get a natural product, let's say you get a hawthorn drops, you get dandelion drops, you get black seed oil, so on and so forth, you read the label that says this is not a cure to any diseases or treatment, so on, whatever. But it's letting you know it's not a cure. Although we know that studies have proven otherwise, right? Let's go to some of this article. Let's see what this article says about that. So I find it interesting that everything that's unhealthy is not bad to sell it to us. Everything that is healthy and that actually has a positive influence in terms of restoring health and curing is considered not approved by the FDA, so don't call it that. Right? It's funny. So let's go into this article a little bit. So legal and regulatory facts for herbalists. So herbalists, if you're gonna be a herbalist, you gotta abide by certain rules and regulations according to the FDA. Right? Let's read some of that. Is there any licensing for herbalists in the United States? The licensing of medical and many health practices occurs on the state level. There is currently no licensing or certification for herbalists in any state that precludes the rights of anyone to use, dispense, or recommend herbs. However, in a small number of states, such as California, naturopathic and acupuncturist licensing laws include classes that define natural remedies and sometimes specifically herbal remedies within the scope of the licensed practice. So, in other words, too, they get to decide, okay, what they label it. Is it a treatment? Is it not a treatment? Right? Is it is it this? Is it that? Do we call it a herbal remedy? What do we call it? So they get to decide the wording, although we know we can get straight to the point and say that it restores health and is the cure, right? So let's go down. What laws protect my rights as an herbalist? Let me get to the point. Let me see. Medical. So it says herbalists should be clear and transparent with all clients. To avoid medicine. I'm trying to get to the part where it tells us the consequence, right? So here we go. It says, what is the SHIA? The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 is the main piece of legislation regulating the manufactured dietary supplements, including herbs. The SHIA established a new category of dietary supplement, a subcategory of food, but in some respects, falling between the categories of food and drug. And here's a crazy part. They don't mind calling their pharmacy pills drugs, right? They call it drugs for a reason. How is it that they're calling it drugs, but they're not drugs? Because that's exactly what they are. It's made to so-called, treat one thing, but ends up giving you 10 other things. Right? And that's the problem too. A lot of our people, guess what? Let's say diabetics. They have to take insulin and shoot themselves with insulin every day if the sugar is high. Now, although it lowers the sugar, it's still bad for your kidneys and pancreas. Okay, it's bad for your kidneys. So at the end of the day, yes, it might lower your sugar, but your kidneys taking a hit. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, so this is the thing. Herbalists can't say that this is a cure or this is a treatment for any kind of disease because they can get fined or their business could get taken away. All right. So let's see this. The FDA warned 7 companies for selling dietary supplements with claims to treat cardiovascular disease. Let's get into that real quick. Even though this formula did treat the disease, they still don't want that to be called a cure or a treatment for the disease. Okay, let's read this real quick. It says, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued warning letters to 7 companies for illegally selling dietary supplements that claim to cure, treat, mitigate, or prevent cardiovascular disease or related conditions such as atherosclerosis, stroke, or heart failure. The products cited in these letters are unapproved new drugs and have not been evaluated by the FDA to be safe and effective for the intended use. So you see that even the FDA calls unapproved supplements drugs, right, as a bad thing. But like I just brought out, the pharmacy called their pills drugs too. So what's the difference? It's like saying, listen, man, I don't want you selling cocaine. I'm selling crack. Right? It's like, what's the difference? They both drugs. Right? Reading on, it says, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. Okay, in 2020, nearly 700,000 Americans died from cardiovascular disease, accounting for 1 in every 5 deaths. Okay, so let's go to the warning letters. Consumers who rely on unapproved products claiming to cure, treat, mitigate, or prevent cardiovascular disease or related conditions instead of discussing their symptoms with a health professional may not receive appropriate treatment and could potentially suffer harm. Now, of course, they say that to try to scare you out of the herbs, right? They try to scare you out of relying on healthy foods to be able to supplement your body and restore your health. They don't want you, doing that, because that means their money is not going to be flowing. That's it. So it says warning letters were sent to the following companies: Essential Elements, Calroy Health Sciences, IWE, right, Chambers, so on and so forth. So it says, under the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act, products intended to diagnose, cure, treat, mitigate, or prevent heart diseases are drugs and are subject to the requirements that apply to drugs, even if they are labeled as dietary supplements. Unlike drugs approved by the FDA, the agency has not evaluated whether the unapproved products subject the warning letters announced today are effective for their intended use. So again, brothers and sisters, the main point is we see how they give businesses warnings of fines and shutting downs and all types of threats if you label one of your products as a cure for something, even if there's proof that you did treat or mitigate this disease with herbs and such in such cases. So in America, that's what happens. If it's healthy, we ain't gonna promote it. We don't want you near it. If it's unhealthy and we're making money off of it, that's how we want it. That's what America's doing with our people, especially our people that they depend on pills and pharmacy drugs to actually get their body functioning. That's not a good thing. These pills also, they cause inflammation. Inflammation is one of the main things that causes chronic health conditions. So inflammation, a lot of us have inflammation in the body, don't even know it. That's why you may get knee pain, elbow pain, right? You get what you call so-called arthritis. It's because all of the inflammation in your body is causing that pain. So knowing this and going forward, being a better version of ourselves, of course, we take that into consideration and say, you know what? Let's try our best to do the best we could do with the information that's being provided. Right, let's go to the next slide. So let me see, I have time. Matter of fact, we're gonna stop here, right? And we're gonna continue next week because I want to touch on the jabs, okay, a little bit more. We touched it earlier on with Joe Biden saying he's gonna be funding, he's gonna be requesting funds for vaccines for everybody to get it. Meanwhile, he can't request funds for the economy to stabilize itself. He can't request funds for people to start creating jobs for people. He's not going to start requesting funds to help the people at all. But he's going to request funds for the jobs. That's how you know at the end of the game, brothers, it's a game. At the end of the day, it's all a game. So don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for trick in the bag. Because again, we went over earlier, they're gonna try to force these things on us in the near future. So our job is to stay strong and don't give in. All right. So with that, I give all praises and honor to the Most High in the name of Yahweh Shah. And I just hope brothers and sisters is doing well, man. I hope you're having a peaceful Shabbat. You rest well, stay in tune with the scriptures, chill with your children, your family, whatever you're doing. Keep the Shabbat, stay in the spirit of the Most High. I love you, Israel. I'll see y'all Most High willing next time. Next week, Most High will. We'll see what's good. But with that, I'm gonna say Shalom. Kum Yashal.
They hating on camps, acting like women with periods and cramps who can never do what we do. It was never a part of the Most High's plan, so I understand that you as a man got a lot to go with the baby steps. You see we militant in every step, from state to state, y'all see him progress. Israelites coming through. Yeah, you feel the respect, so who is you testing? You missing your blessings, they hating so hard, you're missing the lessons. I'm aiming the Western. And all of the clans and all of their crews, avenging the bruise, they hunger slew. A message to heathens, we coming for you. I think to myself, why have compassion when I see they actions? They laughing at us and they glad they have us at the bottom, scrapping for the crumbs for master. Broke the chains, now we calling our nation back to repentance, back to their essence, back to Yahweh, back to his laws and commandments. They wanna be us, but they can't. The wise grow when the seed is planted, go study the ants. The way they gather together and work as a team, I should all of my team. Extra clip with the beam. Niggas are selling their dream like they're making a scene. Always in drama, but not taking care of these seeds. But part of the game is that. Back in the days that would've got checked, now they cut them a check. To turn their backs and honor, respect, and morals. Don't believe what they tell you, do your due diligence. Mix intelligence with the elegance. When you do, someone consider it arrogant. I'm giving you game to put it in play. I'm feeling the rage of people enslaved. The cancerous world we see today is already written, it's part of the phase. But don't be phased, gotta be strong in this faith. Gotta continue in prayer, fasting and love, cause I'm never cleaving to hate. Israel only, don't get it twisted. The other nations is on my hit list. I know they be mad whenever I spit this, but I hate them with a perfect hatred. Yeah, I rep the poor, so I'm rhyming for them. Anything else, I call it a sin. I shoot for the stars and aim to win. Shoot for the stars and aim to win. Shoot for the stars and aim to win. Anything else, I call it a sin. I shoot for the stars and aim to win. Tell them we ready for war, ready for war. Yeah, we ready for war. Tell them we ready for war, ready for war. Yeah, we ready for war. Tell them we ready for war, ready for war. Yeah, we ready for war. Tell them we ready for war, ready for war. Yeah, we ready for war.